Despite what Ferrari team principal Frederic Vasseur has been telling us in the last few weeks, the Maranello team is floundering in Formula One, constantly pushed around by surrounding events. A situation that is unacceptable for a team building cars for the top tier of motorsport and that has been losing for nearly 17 years. All this while McLaren is expanding its dominance, while Red Bull, without its legendary car designer Adrian Newey, is being carried by Max Verstappen and clinging to the fight at the top. Not only that, because even Mercedes on average is stronger and faster than the Italian side. That unfortunately is the current depressing state of affairs. Formula One is an inexact science, but people love numbers, namely reading about how much a future aerodynamic upgrade package might be worth, how much faster a car could go without a certain issue, or how many tenths are needed for a car to overtake another while suffering from turbulent air. But generally speaking, we are talking about hot air, since every single situation is shaped by countless variables. Let's look at a few examples in order to better understand. We will start with updates. On paper, or more accurately, in terms of computer simulations, a team estimates the advantage a new component could bring. But since it is only an estimate, it rarely reflects the reality seen on track, especially when you consider that many factors on the track cannot be accounted for in a simulator. The same goes for car failures, such as aerodynamic problems, issues possibly caused by broken parts which, in theory, should slow the car down. And yet how many times have we seen damage that did not hinder performance nearly as much as expected, leaving engineers surprised and wondering how it is even possible? But it happens in Formula One. The same applies to the turbulent air topic. It is said you need at least a 1-second advantage to overtake in this 2025 Formula One championship. Too bad that once you analyze average pace at the end of a race, which reflects the actual rhythm a car can reach, you discover that some need a second, others a second and a half, while some manage with just 3/10. All this is to say that even the people involved often have no idea how to handle the numbers of a car, even one they supposedly know inside out. This introduction leads us to the question we want to ask today regarding the competitive hypothesis for the Ferrari SF25 single-seater. Since the beginning of the 2025 Formula One season, we have been hearing a recurring refrain about the Maranello team that, at least personally, is not only intriguing but also a bit tiresome. We are talking about the supposedly still untapped potential of the SF25 car, a sluggish, dormant performance that just refuses to wake up and show itself. Evidently, the powerful computers in Maranello underline this after every single session. They say, "Hey, looking at your fastest lap, there is still a 3/10 margin if you had extracted all the potential." The 3/10 figure is hypothetical, of course. Same story for race pace, when we hear percentage estimates of a theoretical rhythm that never seems to materialize on track. To make sense of all this, let us try to draw some conclusions. The scenarios could basically be three. The first two take Ferrari team principal Frederic Vasseur at his word, namely that the Maranello team indeed has some untapped potential. The third rejects the idea of this extra performance altogether, arguing it simply does not exist. So, to sum up, if this blocked performance is real and shows up every time the SF25 car hits the track, the failure to unlock it stems from a lack of ability from the Ferrari drivers, technicians, and engineers. But if this supposed hidden potential of the Ferrari SF25 car does not actually exist, it means the tools used to make those calculations are flawed, or at least skewed by some correlation issue. Then again, this would not be the first time such a thing has happened in Formula One. And here is a specific recent example in order to support this idea. It is not like the group of Mercedes engineers, the same ones who dominated the Formula One World Championship for 8 years, suddenly became clueless and failed to realize that the so-called zero-pod concept was flawed. Clearly, the correlation was feeding them bad data. But let's get back to Ferrari as we would like to know the truth. And getting it might be fairly simple. It would be enough to ask a few questions in a press conference or TV interview with the head of racing operations. First of all, how much is this supposed performance that Ferrari has not been able to extract in this start of the 2025 Formula One season? That question could be followed by another interesting one. The locked-in performance that is always being mentioned, is it only visible in the simulations, or will it eventually come to life and be confirmed on track? And also, is it possible to unlock it? And do you already know which area of the car you need to work on to wake it up? Or are you just going by trial and error? These may sound like simple questions, but since no one has asked them in 4 months of Formula One, getting an answer would not be too bad for us fans. On the other hand, even Lewis Hamilton is not letting a disappointing start to the 2025 Formula One season cloud his optimism for what he can achieve at Ferrari. The 40-year-old made a surprise blockbuster move to the Scuderia over the winter after 12 successful campaigns with Mercedes, where he won 6 of his record-equaling 7 world titles. But, his Shanghai Sprint win aside, Lewis Hamilton has had an underwhelming start at Ferrari, as the Briton is 7th in the championship after 6 rounds and is yet to score a Grand Prix podium. Lewis Hamilton's up-and-down weekend in Miami last time out was representative of his season. He finished 3rd in the sprint, but was 8th on Sunday after only qualifying in 12th. After the Miami Grand Prix, the 7-time Formula One world champion said that he had generally had a good day, even if finishing 8th didn't quite reflect that. He added that he felt optimistic about the future. He believed the car had genuine performance, but something was currently holding them back. According to him, Ferrari had lost performance since the Chinese Grand Prix, and while the performance was still there, they simply couldn't access it, statements that were similar to the ones made by Fred Vasseur. He explained that until they found a fix, their current situation would remain unchanged, though in the meantime they could focus on improving other areas. Lewis Hamilton also mentioned that it had been a tough week for the team, but they were in a better position in Miami, even if they clearly weren't as quick as they were capable of being, as much of Lewis Hamilton's Miami race was spent squabbling with his engineers over the radio, as he and teammate Charles Leclerc hindered one another fighting for the same position. Charles Leclerc, who finished 7th in Miami, has also endured a disappointing season so far, currently sitting 5th in the championship, with the previous weekend arguably being his worst yet. After qualifying 6th for the sprint, he remarked that the pace is just not at all there, but ended up missing the race due to a crash before it even began. He then started the Grand Prix from 8th. Following the race, Charles Leclerc reinforced his earlier concerns about the car's lack of performance, stating that it hadn't been the kind of Sunday they had hoped for, and that, given the pace, there were no miracles to expect. He believed that even if everything had gone perfectly, at best they might have finished ahead of Kimi Antonelli in 6th, but no higher. The Monegasque driver added that there simply was not much more to extract from the car and stressed the need to separate issues. While some problems, like the battle with Hamilton, may have cost them 1 position, the remaining 6 or 7 were down to the car's overall lack of competitiveness, which they needed to address. Charles Leclerc now expects some improvement at the next race, which will take place at the Imola in front of the Tifosi, but predicted that his struggles would likely return at the round after that, his home race on the streets of Monaco, which he won last year.